Hi, welcome to Translate.One-To-Ones, the mini interview series where we pull back the curtain at Translate.One to see what never gets lost in translation. Behind every translated document, every interpreter on a call, every moment that you need to turn language into connection, there's real experts, real teams, real people making it happen and who care about getting every word right. I'm Laura Marquez, and today I am very happy to be joined by Christiane Schaeffler, our head of the quality department. Welcome, Christiane Schaeffler. Thank you so very much for your time today, for being here, for being our very first guest at our very first episode. We're beginning this adventure with you. You know, you're setting the bar really high, and I just hope that everybody that we get here is as wonderful as you. So thank you for being here today. First of all, I kind of wanted to ask you a bit of personal questions so that we get to know you. Could you introduce yourself for us, who you are, where do you come from, and what do you do here at Translate.One?
Absolutely. Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much for this warm introduction. I'm very, very delighted to be here today and to be your guest, and the very first one of as well. Yes, so I'm the head of quality at Translate.One, and when people ask me what is it that a quality manager does or what I do on a daily basis, I very often struggle to describe it in a tangible way. It feels a little bit vague sometimes, but I you could say that I make sure that our processes are strong enough to pass an audit on a Monday morning, but also robust enough to handle real life chaos on a Friday afternoon. So I'd say in short, I build frameworks that make sure that everything works exactly as it is and as it should be. So yeah, that's me as part of Translate.One.
That's wonderful. Very, very beautifully put. Thank you so much, Christiana, for that description. That's lovely. A bit more on you. What is something that you would say that people that catches them off guard? That's something interesting or surprising to know about you.
Undoubtedly, the fact that I'm a born and raised Namibian. Like my necklace shows you, I'm deeply rooted in Southern Africa, somewhere between the Namib Desert and the Atlantic Ocean and wide open spaces of our very, very vast and beautiful country.
Lovely. Yeah. I think, that caught me off guard. First time we met, for sure. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of
and
right
people
now.
wouldn't expect
Sorry,
it.
what?
I say a lot of people wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And right now, the moment, where are you based?
So I'm now based in the UK and I have been here for about 8 years now. So this is my 9th year in the localization industry, and I joined Translate.One through one of the acquisitions at the end of 2023 here in the UK. You could say I didn't really apply for the job at Translate.One. I sort of just arrived with the package, you could say, and it's been a very exciting journey here in the UK in this industry ever since.
Yeah, I think it's the experience of most of us, right? That we come from this small departments that kind of harmonized in the end to create something more wonderful, more robust. So that's wonderful to hear. I think we can all relate. A question that's very fitting for the line of work that we're in, right? So how many languages do you speak or wish that you spoke? Or
I grew up trilingual and speak fluently German, English, and Afrikaans. So those three languages keep my brain fairly busy at times, I would say. But
for
if
sure.
I could, I'd happily add more languages to my repertoire. I think working in the localization industry, as you already said, gives us this permanent linguistic FOMO. We're constantly surrounded by languages and
sure.
wish we could speak more of them or just understand them at least. But yeah, I have to be realistic, of course. And unfortunately, my enthusiasm for languages grows a little bit faster than my vocabulary does. So for now, I'll just have to make do with those three languages.
I can absolutely relate. Yeah, thank you very much. And still, 3 languages is a pretty decent number. So I think that's a wonderful one. Baie danke dat jullie vandaag hier is.
Groot plezier, Laura.
No, you got me there. Yeah, I know that you I've been trying the whole morning to kind of learn that, to pronounce it properly for you. Did I butcher it too bad? Or my Afrikaans is not the same as it was?
It was not bad at all. Dit was eindelijk nogal goed.
Oh my God. No, that's way over my head. Way over my head.
You're doing
And
well.
a bit more on what you do here at Translate.One. Has there been in the last year, in the last few months, a moment at work that has made you very proud, at yourself, at your team?
Absolutely. I think there are actually two types of moments that make me and made me super proud. One is a rather personal moment, and the other one I would say is a collective moment. So, on a personal level, one of my proudest moments was when, after the acquisitions merged and our operations started coming together, I was offered the opportunity to step into the role of head of quality at Translate.One. I knew at the time that the learning curve that would come with this role would be extremely steep, that the scope was complex, and that the expectations were very high, but I was ready for that challenge. And being trusted with that responsibility at such a pivotal moment in the growth of the company meant a great deal for me. So that was a real proud moment for myself. But beyond that personal milestone, there's another time or another type of moments, I would say, that makes me very proud. And that's when we successfully pass our very strict ISO audits. It may not sound very glamorous, but internally passing an audit, it's huge. It proves that
Mm.
our processes are robust, that we can manage the complexity of the industry that we are in, and that quality isn't just something written in a manual. It's actually genuinely embedded in how we operate on a daily basis. Those closing meetings at the end of an audit when the auditor shares the preliminary results, those moments, they are purely cathartic. That's when the pressure drops.
It
It's
was
when I
worth it,
feel,
right?
absolutely, it's when I feel genuinely proud, not just of myself, but in particular of the teams and the people I work with and everybody who keeps the system going. And yeah, that's definitely a very proud moment always. And very lucky, keeps coming back that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a wonderful example that you're sharing because, to be honest, your presence is so reassuring in the company that I came later on, right? So I don't really remember a time before that, but I cannot um, picture a moment where you're not there. The support, the safety net of the quality department. So that's wonderful. That's a wonderful example, the one you
Thank
shared.
you, Laura. That's really kind of you to say. But in the end, it's the company, every single individual in the company that keeps the system going. And I might be tying loose ends together and pulling strings, but everybody is absolutely crucial in maintaining that.
Agreed. Agreed. Thank you for painting this picture for us of who you are. I want to get into your role a little bit more in depth and what it entails, right? I think the biggest and most simple question at the same time is quality in and of itself, right? Because when people hear that you're head of quality, that sounds serious, kind of like we're in trouble. So what does that actually mean, being head of quality?
You're not in trouble at all. It simply means I write procedures that nobody reads until it's audit season. No, just kidding. Just kidding. The variety of things that a head of quality does is much broader. So quality is a
Mhm.
very broad field. And as part of my role, I design, I oversee, I maintain ISO compliance across the whole company. But my team and I also support internal trainings. We help project management teams handle complaints. We lead investigations when something needs attention, monitor performance of translation and interpreting teams. And we ensure that everything works together as one structured system. So nobody is in trouble, but I would appreciate if everybody would read those procedures I write.
Right. Yeah. I know that most of the time, sometimes we don't. I'm so sorry, but we have post-its and reminders to do so. Like, I know, I know. So in that sense, for someone, for example, that is outside our industry and knows nothing about localization, translation, linguistic services, what does quality mean in this topic, in this field?
That is an extremely relevant question, and one that actually very often comes up in conversations with clients. What is
Mm.
quality and what does it mean? And this is particularly important for clients who are either new in the localization industry or just less familiar with workflows and processes. So outside the industry, I would say quality is often, in very simple terms, understood as there are no mistakes. From the inside, it's a lot more complex than just that. We have to consider that language is a living ecosystem. It constantly evolves. And it naturally carries a certain level of or degree of subjectivity. So that means you and I, for example, we could read the same text. We would find no objective errors, yet you might love the text while I simply don't like it. And because I don't like it, I, as a client now, would maybe say it's bad quality.
For sure. It's a bad
But
translation.
yeah, it's a bad translation. But in reality, that doesn't necessarily mean we are dealing with a quality issue. This is a matter of preference. It's subjectivity. And language does not play according to the rules of mathematics where 1 and 1 always equals 2. There's not always a clear right and a wrong. And quality in the localization industry needs to be able to navigate this gray zone of linguistic preference and subjectivity. So for us at Translate.One, delivering quality does not just mean the absence of errors. It means that we are meeting the client's expectations and we are ensuring that the final product truly serves the intended purpose. So it's not just about no mistakes. It's about understanding needs. It's about managing those needs and meeting expectations and ultimately ensuring that whatever we deliver is fit for purpose. So we quite often have to reframe the whole discussion about what quality is and explain that it's a lot more than the absence of errors.
Of course, of course. It ends up being a matter of communication in the end, right? Being on the same page with the client. I
Yeah,
guess that's very interesting for everybody involved to comprehend, right? So
100%.
a bit of a dumb question, really, but I wanted to hear it from you. Why is quality so important in, especially in regulated industries like healthcare, like government or legal work? Why do we put so much emphasis there on quality?
No, that's not a dumb question at all. It's actually a very relevant question. We might not be heart surgeons. We might not work in the emergency room and save lives, but
Right.
the impact of our work can still affect a lot of things on the client's end. Just to mention a few: patient safety, product safety, legal outcomes, confidentiality, even public trust and reputation for clients. So imagine, for example, confidential patient data leaking on our end, or mistranslated medical device manuals leading to incorrect uses on a patient, even resulting in serious harm. Regulated industries need reassurance that their partners operate with structured, compliant, and secure processes. And that's where strong quality management becomes essential in regulated industry and not just optional.
And if we move on to what your team does, correct? Because if you're head of quality, there's a body of quality, right? So like other gears to the system. What does the quality team do behind the scenes? What's a day for them? What does it look like?
So behind the scenes is actually the crucial phrase here, because at least
Yeah.
90% of what we do happens behind the scenes. And ideally, nobody really notices us and what we do unless we appear on the scene for a particular reason or to intervene. So we design processes, we conduct internal audits, we monitor KPIs, analyze risks, investigate incident complaints, evaluate translation quality, but we also support our internal teams by providing training for project management teams, but also ensuring compliance with a lot of our ISO standards. The list is extremely long, and the variety of tasks that we are doing is very, very broad as well. Bottom line really is if everything runs smoothly, it means that we've done our job and that our processes are robust and that nobody really sees or hears much from us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And at what point does quality as a department get involved in a project? Is it there from the very beginning? Is it at the end? Is it midway?
So quality is not just the final checkbox at the end of a project. Instead, quality is deeply embedded in every step of the project lifecycle, from project initiation, resource selection, project execution, monitoring, delivering, even post-delivery activities and feedback. Quality is embedded in every step of the way. So every phase is governed by quality mechanisms. And the interesting part is that most of these mechanisms are not even visible. And that's the intention. They're not supposed to be visible. They're not supposed to be an active task that has to be taken care of. They're supposed to be so deeply embedded that nobody really notices that they are there. And that's why we have really strict procedures that ensure that quality is embedded throughout the entire workflow of whatever process and ever project we're talking about.
Right. It's wonderful the way you describe it because it's such a well-oiled machine working perfectly. And sometimes we take that for granted. In how many processes at the same time is quality involved, and we have absolutely no idea, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Quality is always the silent companion of everything, really.
Right, right. And if we move to a topic that is something that we talk a lot about when we talk to you about this, right? Is ISOs.
Of course, yeah.
What is that? Like we often mention that all the time. We say Translate.One is ISO certified. We're ISO certified. Here are our ISO certifications. What does that mean? What does an ISO certificate mean in simple terms? Which ones do we have here? In general, what does the workflow look like? What makes a project ISO compliant?
Laura, you're putting me a little bit on the spot here because trying to explain
Tricky one.
ISO and the ISOs we have in simple terms is quite a mammoth task. So let me try and explain without going too much into nerd mode here, because obviously I don't bore anybody with this
We
topic.
love living mode here, though. So good to go.
So let me try. So first and foremost, ISO stands for International Organization of Standardization. So ISO is an international and independent body that has been setting globally recognized standards for nearly 80 years across different industries. We at Translate.One are certified against 5 different ISO systems, which is, bear with me while I list them. It's ISO 9001, which is the quality management system. It's basically the mother of all systems, and everything else is integrated. We have ISO 27001, which is the information security management system. We have ISO 13485, which is the quality management for medical device related services, very important for medical device related translations and very regulated industries. And then the two industry specific standards, which is ISO 17100, the translation service for translation service provision, and ISO 18587, which is the post editing of machine translation output. The fact that each standard governs a completely different aspect of our operation shows us that ISOs work together like a big jigsaw puzzle, but together they form one integrated system of quality, safety, and for our clients in the end, reassurance. So
Right.
to answer your question, whether there's just that one single ISO workflow, there is no such thing. We ensure that each deployed workflow, and there are many different workflows depending on client expectations, on content type, on project requirements, ensure that each of these workflows complies with all of the ISO requirements so that every workflow we deploy is structured, is controlled, and safe.
Wonderful. And how does that add value, would you say, to the client? Like, why should a client care that a linguistic solutions partner follows ISO standards or complies with them?
That's a very good question. Within our industry, I would say it is very easy to register as a language service provider, and it is very easy to get access to translation services. But that does not necessarily mean that these services are compliant with industry standards. Being ISO certified is for certain a quality seal, and it shows that an external auditor has verified that our processes meet internationally recognized standards. We are not just a service provider who is doing what they think they should be doing. We are a service provider who knows what they are doing. So for clients in regulated industry, this is not just a nice extra, this is critical. If their suppliers fail to comply with regulations, it can create serious consequences for them. So our ISOs give clients reassurance that we operate in a structured, secure, but also compliant way. And in the end, this is what builds trust and successful cooperation.
Right, right. Coming back to what you said at the beginning about a text being wonderful to me and not necessarily appropriate or nice to you, the whole topic of quality seems very hard to define in that sense, as you mentioned, very subjective, right? So if something is subjective in the way that you said it before, we also know that it has objective components, but how do we measure that? How do we measure the quality? Do we do scores? Do we do checklists? Do we only take into account client feedback? What do we do? Which KPIs do we use?
All of the above. Quality can be measured in different ways, but let me start off this way. Quantifying quality is the challenge. It is in fact a very challenging task, but it is possible. It means that we need to have KPIs, strategies, mechanisms in place that help us navigate this gray zone of subjectivity and differentiate between what is subjective and what is objective. So at Translate.One, we have a dedicated in-house quality team that, amongst other processes, conducts linguistic quality assessments. In short, they're called LQAs. They are based on the industry-specific evaluation framework MQM, standing for multidimensional quality metrics. So it sounds all very technical, but let me simplify it. In practical terms, it just means that we evaluate translations by identifying errors, categorizing them, assessing their severity, and ultimately generating a quality score. So this is how we quantify quality. It's a bit like grading an exam paper, I would say, except the student to be graded is a professional linguist. The examiner is the other professional linguist, and the exam is a real translation project. So that's how you could imagine it. And this structured evaluation allows us to investigate complaints in a very objective manner. It helps us to monitor translator performance, but also to apply consistent and measurable QA standards across our projects. So overall, this way of evaluating allows us to move quality from being a vague, subjective, wishy-washy concept to something tangible and measurable.
Right. Absolutely. Just the way that you frame everything. It's so fantastically put. Thank you. Thank you for that. And of course, when we say, for example, all of that system in place for quality, all of the ISOs, all of the effort that's behind it, we know like we're not the first LSP to have ISO certificates to deliver quality, right? So what would you say that differentiates us as Translate.One from another possible vendor?
You said something really true here. We're not the first one to do this. And I think with this question, we have to be really fair here, even though I might be putting my job at risk by saying this now. But I think there's some really, really good LSPs out there doing a fantastic job navigating a very difficult and complex industry. I think we're Translate.One. We have retained something that's becoming rare these days, and that's the human touch and the ability to listen and to understand the needs of our clients and offer solutions. In times of heavy automation and the influx of AI, I think it is safe to say that we still operate in a very human-centered way. And I don't mean in terms of the technology we use, because we do deploy AI and we do make use of modern technology, but in terms of the relationships that we have with our clients. And I think this is at our core. Our names aren't just email addresses, and our clients know our faces, and they even know what our voices sound like. And they know that they can count on us when they need not only service provision, but also guidance and support. So our clients are our partners, and I think that is what makes us stand out.
Right. Absolutely. I would say as well, I'm knowing you and your team, it fits like a glove to the task that you set yourself out to do, because you yourself deal with a lot of crisis. Like I, for example, get in touch with you when I have a crisis and the whole ship is sinking. And I'm like, oh my God, Christiane, help me. Everybody's dying. I'm dying. So, that approach of reassurance, of taking that crisis calmly with a pinch of salt, seeing what is actually there, because in the end, it was not that big of a crisis. So always kind of helping us get afloat. I think it's wonderful in the mood and the capacity, the attitude that your team has to deal with these issues, right?
Thanks, Laura. That's very kind of you to say. And I think what is crucial here is that we have lifeboats on board, we have life vests on board, and we know how to utilize these. And that's the whole. This all boils down back to being compliant with certain ISO standards as well. These are the tools that we gain from that. So a crisis in the end quite often isn't a crisis if you know how to deal with it. And I think we've got the knowledge and the expertise on board and the right people in the right places to navigate these crises and navigate our clients through these crises as well.
Absolutely. I think it's actually the other way around. I think we get stronger getting out of there from the other side. I think
Absolutely.
we get a better understanding of ourselves as a vendor, as a system, as a provider of solutions, and of the client as well. So I think, it's a win-win, even though the way there might be a bit uncomfortable.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. You were mentioning also the human touch you as a quality department put in the company. And I wanted to I needed to ask you about the elephant in everybody's rooms nowadays, which is AI, right? and how quality kind of deals with that. There's no way not to talk about this. Crazy. I'm so cliche for putting it here as well.
It's everywhere. You can't avoid it.
I
So we
cannot
might
outrun
just
it.
as well tackle it straight head on. So let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So since it's changing so much so quickly, like I get the feeling sometimes that I cannot grasp it. If I kind of understand a little bit, it's new the next day, you know? So how does that affect our job as a language service provider and quality within that as well?
A lot. It does affect us a lot. And I think this fleeting nature that you've just described is what makes it so difficult to navigate sometimes, because AI as such is changing almost on a daily basis. The output, what it can do, what it can create is changing. And most importantly, this leads to a change in expectations. So our clients' expectations are changing. I mean, we almost hear on a daily basis questions like, if AI can translate this in seconds for me, why do you need 3 days to do so? Or AI produces something that looks completely fine and looks great. Why do we actually need a human review on that?
For sure.
You know,
Why do we pay for this, right?
yeah, and I genuinely understand this perspective because on the surface, AI looks fast, it looks fluent, cost effective, and deceivingly trustworthy at times. But this is exactly where our role, Translate.One's role, becomes crucial. We are adapting to this industry, and our role is changing also because of the influx of AI and the introduction of AI. So I think we are all on the same page by saying that AI is a very powerful tool, but the success in using it lies in using it responsibly and in the right context. And for that to be done, you need to understand a lot of factors that are surrounding your content, your project type, etc. So our responsibility is not just to deliver translation translation output, it's to guide our clients through this rapidly evolving landscape and to offer solutions that align with their needs. Because you've mentioned this fleeting nature and how you sometimes cannot grasp it. We are not the only ones. I mean, this is quite
Right.
often the case for our
Both
clients as well.
sides.
We're all navigating the same stormy waters, but we are the industry experts. So we are at the source of what is happening. We are always, I dare to say, a step ahead of the layman because we deal with it on a daily basis. Helping clients understand when and to what extent AI can be safely used for their unique situation. Human expertise, and when human expertise becomes a non-negotiable, this is crucial. So that, what might work perfectly, for example, for a low-risk blog post, could be completely inappropriate for a medical device manual or a legal contract that are high risk, for example. So, and this is where we provide guidance. So our role, I'd say, is part quality guardian, part risk manager, and part advisor.
Yeah.
And so AI is powerful, but only when it's deployed with the right level of human oversight and professional judgment. And this is our role, is the professional judgment that we bring along.
Right. Absolutely. And how is that AI, for example, that we use in our workflow? How does that work? For example, how would you describe that for someone watching this?
So we do use AI, as mentioned before, in our workflows. I think it would be a shame not to leverage what it has to offer because there's certainly a lot of heavy lifting that AI can do for us, which reduces turnaround time, is cost effective, and helps us quicker and, if more effectively, meet the needs of our clients. So AI can be used in many different ways and for many different purposes, but we always use it as a support tool, never as a standalone tool. So
Right.
it's always deployed in a controlled manner. And that can have various way of manifesting in a project. So we could use AI, for example, for supporting transcription processes, voice to text, for example, or to assist with voiceover, so text to speech, or providing machine translation output, or even automated quality checks. So these are just a few possible uses to mention. But how it's applied and what type of AI is used for what purpose entirely depends on the project type, the risk profile of the project, and obviously the client's needs and requirements.
Right. It's wonderful that you explain it that way because I think when we say that we use AI in our workflow, they immediately think that we Google Translate the content, right? And the idea that we use AI for many of the underlying processes, it's not necessarily directly related to linguistic services, We
Absolutely.
might expedite something, make it quicker, make it cheaper, make it, however we want, create a glossary with it, as you said, a transcription, expedite processes. So I think it's interesting as well to kind of compare the uses that we give AI, right? In the company.
Absolutely. And being able to generate integrated systems where different ways of AI work together towards the final product. I mean, we always think input and then something happens in output.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens in the middle, there can be a lot of different AI types working together for a lot of different reasons and purposes, creating some sort of output. So yeah, that's definitely what we're working towards and what is on our daily to-do list, I'd say.
Right. So, in what we're using AI for in our processes, where in your experience have you seen that AI helps out the most? And where do you see, for example, oh my God, no, I still need my team here, or I need to do this myself?
So I think AI has one massive advantage. It can't get tired.
Mm-hmm.
Humans get tired. If we have to proofread a text after 8 hours, our eyes will fail us and we will overlook errors. That's how it is. So that makes AI a very effective and repetitive, predictable tasks. But when it comes to contextual judgment, factual validation, maybe tone, especially marketing content, cultural nuances, and assessing real world impact, I think human expertise remains superior to what we have created with AI. And all in all, I'd say again, AI is powerful. It certainly deserves a space in our service provision, but judgment and responsibility still lies with the human.
Right. Absolutely. Beautifully put as well. Yeah. So, I mean, in the end, for example, let's imagine that someone is watching this video and skipped right up until now, hasn't seen anything at all. If you had to kind of narrow it down into one sentence, what would you like someone who's watching to know about us, to know about Translate One, if they only got this bit of information from you?
I think my message would be that we're not just another language service provider. We are a team you can call by name, you can trust and truly rely on, because this isn't just a job for us here at Translate One. It's a mission that is driven by passion.
Lovely. It's beautiful. In case nobody says the whole thing doesn't matter with just that last bit, it's perfect. We're golden. We're golden.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
It's been fantastic, Christiane. Really, thank you very much for your time today, for being here, for answering my questions, for making quality feel so measurable, so understandable, and also so human, to put a face behind it. And, I think, to be honest, I think the only thing that falls out of the ISO scope is the quality of who you are as a colleague and a human. And I'm very glad that I get to work with you and we could share this time together.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate you so much as a colleague and our wider team as well. It's fantastic being here. It feels really like a little bit of a small family, or not so small anymore, more like a
That's true.
medium-sized
Yeah.
family. But thank you so much. I appreciate being your guest today, and it's been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much. We hope to see you soon again here.
See you. Bye bye.